What is up, everybody? Welcome to a new episode of Play Games Have Fun. I am your host, Chris Jardine, aka Snaggle J. As always, I appreciate you listening / watching. If you're on our website, anchor.fm / Play Games Have Fun. If you're watching on youtube.com / Snaggle J, or if you're listening in your podcast app of choice on Android or iOS, I greatly appreciate you. I hope you are all staying warm. As I am recording this, the current wind chill in my location is minus 42 Celsius, which is in American freaking cold. And in a way to try to warm myself up today, we're going to talk about MLB The Show 23. Because we're getting there. We have a cover athlete. We have a special collector's edition cover athlete or deluxe edition, depending on how you want to look at it. Our long national nightmare is over with Derek Jeter being involved. So we're going to talk a little bit about MLB The Show 23 today, some of my expectations, some of the things I'd like to see as we get ready. It's February. Pitchers and catchers report in like a week and a half. And hopefully a little bit of talking about baseball will warm us all up on this cold winter day. So, in typical SDS fashion, we've been sort of getting information later and later in the cycle. Last year, was it last year or the year before? They moved back the release date from like mid-March to, towards the end. And so that kind of meant the trickle of information was a little slower. We got the cover reveal a few weeks ago. They teased it with these very, what's the word I'm looking for? Psychedelic images. A lot of people immediately thought, oh, it's Jazz Chisholm. They had sort of started the relationship with Jazz Chisholm last year. They did the whole video package thing where he came out to the studios and they did his own, his real 99 card, as they call them. The exclusive cards that only the actual real player gets to use in the game. And immediately when people started seeing the funky imagery, they were like, oh, it's Jazz. And it turns out the cover athlete for MLB The Show 23 is Jazz Chisholm, which is, I've been very open and honest that I do not care who's on the cover of the game. It makes no difference to me. I don't buy the physical version of the game. I have not for 9 years. I'm not going to start now. Yes, Jazz Chisholm will be on my little icon on my screen. I don't care. It is irrelevant to me. I see people on Twitter who are like all upset that it was Jazz and not insert favorite player here. But like, I'm more concerned about the game and what's going to change in the game and improvements they're going to make than who's going to be on the damn cover that I'm not going to buy. Then on Jimmy Fallon's Tonight Show, Derek Jeter announced that he will be on the cover of the Captain's Edition, as it's called, which is the physical version that includes the hat. I don't care what anybody says. The hat's ugly. I see a lot of people who love the hat. That's fine. If you love it, that's cool. I think it's ugly. I wouldn't buy it anyway because it's a snapback, but I don't like it. I don't like the cream-colored top. But the meme of Derek Jeter being on the cover of the game is over now because he's on the cover of the Captain's Edition. Again, met with a lot of negativity / positivity and skepticism because, people talk about Jeter's defense and stuff like as if it's not a, video game where they're just going to give Jeter awesome stats. I mean, we had an Elvis Andrus card that was 99. Like, they'll make Jeter to be able to play defense. That's not a concern. So now that we've got that stuff out of the way, we're on the road to release. We're going to have the streams coming up, the feature premieres, as they like to call them. And now we're getting into the nitty-gritty of what is this game going to have? What sort of improvements are we going to see? I'll be honest. I was down a lot on the MLB The Show series. I think 20 and 21 for me were downers. And I don't think it was necessarily 100% the game's fault. I think some of it was self-inflicted. I think with 21 especially, I really wanted to, go hard into Diamond Dynasty and just try to do everything. And given how much there was to do, that I got burnt out, and I shut down, and I just stopped. And I've said before, one of the things that I really enjoyed about 22 was that I played it the way I wanted to. I only collected Jays and Expos affiliated cards. And obviously like cards that I got through programs, stuff that I couldn't sell or whatever. But my focus was Jays and Expos. And that immediately, instituted a different layer of fun for me because I could really target guys that I wanted. And if there was a week where nothing came out and, I was going to be away camping or had other engagements, I wasn't worried. I wasn't stressed that I was missing out on a bunch of stuff because there was nobody that I needed that week. And again, I know, there's people out there who they're the grinders and they want everything and they want every card, and that's fine. I'm not going to be playing the game that way. I've been looking at how I want to approach 23. And I'm going to do something similar. I think I'm going to be a little more active within the game. But here's the thing, and I've said this many times. Diamond Dynasty is the most free-to-play friendly. That's a mouthful. Free-to-play friendly card collecting mode that exists. It's not close. NBA, NHL, Madden, OOTP, none of them come anywhere near close to Diamond Dynasty for what you can get for Grind 99. Again, I did not spend a dime on this game other than buying the deluxe edition, and I got every card that I wanted through the whole cycle, with the exception of Josh Donaldson because I could not complete the Extreme program because I suck at the game. So, I've been looking at, as somebody who would consider themselves more of a casual to mid-level user, what are some of the things that I would like to see in Diamond Dynasty that I would like to see improve for MLB The Show 23? I'm not going to go down the franchise rabbit hole because, first of all, my expectations for changes they're making to franchise mode are zero. I know there was a whole big conversation about March to October and franchise and linking the two and stuff last year. My expectations for what will change in the franchise-based mode in this game are nothing. I have no expectations. So any change will exceed my expectations. I did not play one game of franchise in MLB The Show 22. If I want to play a baseball franchise, I'm going to play OOTP, and that's just how it is. Because I could do everything in that game that I want to do out of a franchise mode. The management, the drafting, the building my team. The only thing I can't do is pick up the controller and play. And I can do that in MLB The Show in 4 other modes. I do play March to October. I did complete March to October 3 times. But a lot of those times it was because I also wanted the XP benefits within Diamond Dynasty that you get. And I love March to October. I think it's fun. I would love for them to sort of meld franchise and March to October together somehow. But again, my expectations for franchise is nothing. So anything they do to franchise will exceed it. And that's that. I'm not getting down the whole fixed franchise mode rabbit hole because honestly, I'm at the point where this movement, and I completely am on board with it and I understand it, but this movement only makes me mad because I've played franchise modes in video games since it existed. I used to document them on I would just keep my notebook around back in the sports talk baseball Genesis days. I would keep track of stats in a notebook or Duotang or whatever until the stat tracking got better in games. Even back to Baseball Stars, which did keep track of rudimentary things like average and home runs and RBIs. This some of my favorite video game moments ever are related to franchise mode. But I'm at the point where I don't think the mountain is going to come to me. I need to go to the mountain. So if I want to play a franchise mode, I go to the games that give it to me. like OOTP, like NBA 2K, whose My Era stuff is an absolutely amazing addition. NHL still has a very good franchise mode. The custom leagues feature this year was cool. I really enjoyed that. So I'm at the point now where if I want to play a franchise mode, I go to where the franchise modes are. I've given up the expectations of game companies bringing it to me because I just don't think it's going to happen. So a lot of where my focus has been in terms of stuff I would like to see change, stuff I would like to see different, has been related to Diamond Dynasty because that's where I've spent 95% of my time in 22. And, you know, I think there was a lot of things done differently in 22 that I seem to disagree with a lot of people that listen to this show, participate in my Discord, follow me on Twitter. A lot of people I associate with hated the removal of team affinities. I liked it. I like the consolidation of content into feature programs and other programs, both of which have a similar sort of vein to them. I liked a lot of the things they did with how those things were kind of wielded together and how you could, complete this and complete that. And one of my bigger things and the first sort of point I'm looking at for what changes with 23 is I want to see them take more chances with content. I think the one thing that I would say that the 22 model has the possibility of doing if they continue with it in 23 is it's stale. Every time there's a program, there's going to be X amount of moments. There's going to be 6 divisional collections. There's going to be some previous other program rewards you can lock in for XP. And then you're going to have a showdown and a conquest at some point. I'd like, we're going to get Griffey Week. We're going to get postseason guys. We're going to get this and that. I would like to see them take more chances. And one of the things that lead me to believe this might happen is you've seen in the later part of 2022, Sony San Diego moving to add new people to their team from the community. And I like to see that. As somebody who spent 4 years planning content for a baseball video game as a one-man operation, anytime you can bring in new ideas, whether it be from the community, whether it be from other people on the team, whether it be from a fresh body who reaches out to you and says, hey, I think this would be really cool. At the very, very least, those ideas aren't always viable at face value, but it gets your mind going. So I think, Sony's in this place where I think they have a really good structure of how these programs can work, but I want to see them take more chances. The biggest thing is you can always take the safe road and the safe cards and the safe programs, and not a lot of people are going to complain. But nothing ventured, nothing gained. So if you don't take those chances, you're not going to learn what sticks to the wall and what works and what can be a really cool, fun, engaging program for people. So I'm okay if you take a chance and a program flops. So what? Sure, it's a short-term pain, but you learn from it as a development group, and you say, hey, okay, let's not do that again. But we could do something similar, and here's the things we need to change to make it work. So I'd like to see them take more chances with content and have things be a little less cookie cutter. Again, especially if we're going to stick to this sort of consolidated programs way. Some of the chances I'd like to see, listen, this is going to be a very unpopular opinion, but I would like to see more non-live cards in packs. I think packs in MLB The Show, Diamond Dynasty are the most pointless thing in the world. First of all, you're not, all of the base packs, you're only getting live cards, which again, in the early part of the game is fine. But I think once you move on to the season and a lot of your 1% users who have the live collection complete within the first 2 weeks, packs are useless to them. And because you give out packs, so many of them through the programs, I would like to see exclusive packs in the store that feature flashbacks. And again, we saw this year with the chase packs. Again, and there was only, 5 chase cards, I think, through the whole year? Maybe 6? I'd like to see more of that. Let's have some, and again, I know that leans it more towards the pay to win stuff, but stubs are not hard to come by in this game at all. Again, I didn't spend a single dime after the launch of the game, and I would routinely have 5, 6, 7, 800,000 stubs at any given time. I'd like to see more. I'd like to see more timed exclusive packs that feature non-live cards. I'm thinking like an expanded version of the Chase Pack program. I think that would be cool. Again, that goes to your more taking chances with content. I want to see more new legends. I think the new legend offering, while as a Jays fan last year, the new legend offering was great with Delgado and Halladay. But the new legend, they're just not enough. And I know it's a licensing thing, and I know that's more of a business decision. But again, part of taking chances with your content and improving your content program is introducing new elements. And part of new elements is introducing new players. More mid-tier to upper-tier legends. We don't always need... And again, I have to say, positive signs of that already, because again, we have Derek Jeter as the Captain's Edition cover athlete. So right off the bat, new legend. So I would like to see twice as many new legends this year. New legends are fun. I think we might see a uptick in the number of new legends this year, just based on that trend. And I think that would be, again, a very positive thing. Another thing I would like to see them take more chances in relation to content is the Supercharged program. So Supercharged, for those of you who are maybe a little foggy, maybe quit out on Diamond Dynasty, or the Supercharged program would be live cards would receive timed boosts based on their performance in real life. So a guy hits 3 home runs, he gets a Supercharged card, his ratings go up for 48 hours. I want to see, first of all, I want to see the Supercharged and the Tops Now programs merge together, because I think they're sort of the same thing. Supercharged is based on, a streak or a game or something. Tops Now is more your players of the week, but I do think there's the possibility to combine those two programs together and kind of make those work in conjunction with one another. Obviously, the biggest thing with Supercharged right out the bat is that I need them to be more consistent. For the months of July and August, it's like they forgot Supercharged was a thing. We got some early, and then for like 2 months, it just disappeared. Like it didn't exist anymore. And I think they kind of recognized that, and we got a lot of Supercharged in September and the playoffs. But yeah, I would like to see them find a way to merge it with the Tops Now. I would also like to see a way for us to be able to lock in the Supercharged ratings, which I think means they would have to be a little less aggressive on the ratings. But imagine, for example, Bo Bichette has a 5-hit game, and his contact versus lefty, contact versus righty gets a +10. I think for that 48 hours, if you have a mission specific to Bo for those 48 hours, which promotes people using different cards, to say, hey, if you can get 15 hits with Bo in online games in the 48 hours, you will lock a permanent +2 to both his contact lefty, contact righty. Cool. I like that. Again, the cool thing about the Supercharged program was it promoted the use of different cards. If you find a way to lock it, I don't need the +10 to be locked in. I think that's a little aggressive. But if you let me lock in the +2, now you're creating additional deviations within the roster set, right? Because maybe that +2 for Bo makes the difference between me playing him and playing another meta shortstop at the time. And I know this is a way out of the sky pipe dream sort of thing that I don't think will happen. Again, I think you can tie it into the Tops Now in a certain way, because again, Tops Now we usually get every week. There's a bunch of moments. There's 4 or 5 cards. There's always the Tops Now monthly programs to do. So I feel like you could somehow tie the Supercharged and the Tops Now together to help you unlock certain attribute boosts. Speaking of attribute boosts, let's talk about parallels. I think the parallel program is awesome. I also think it has one major flaw within that it doesn't create any decision for the user. I would love if the parallel program was, hey, okay, you unlock parallel 1 on a card, which again currently gives you +1 across the board to everything. What if you unlock parallel 1 and you got to, for a hitter, for example, you got to choose between contact, power, the intangibles, so like vision, discipline, and whatnot, speed, and defense to add those +1s to. So you pick contact. Then when you get to parallel 2, okay, I'm going to dump the 2 points into power. Oh, I get parallel 3. I'd like this guy to be a little better on defense. I'm going to give him the +3 there. And then when you get to the plus, let's say maybe with the +5, it gives you +5 across the board. Or you still have the choice. Again, you're not losing what makes the parallel program cool, which is taking cards, grinding for them, locking them in. A lot of people out there are on the 1-of-1 grind. But it's a fun added element to the game. And I also think, again, it makes different cards viable. Because when you get a guy to +3, +4, +5, that might make the difference between him being on your bench and being in your bullpen, or being on your bench and being your starting second baseman. So if you add an element of choice to that, again, I'm always going to advocate for lineup variability. Give me more playable cards. And if I have the choice behind what I do with a guy, I think that would be kind of cool. I think that would allow, players to be, again, pitchers are the same thing. Do I want to put 2 points into velo, 2 points into control, 2 points into his per nines? It could make the difference between whether I use a guy or whether I don't. And I'm in control of that. I think that's the key part. You're giving the user the control. It's much like how when you upgrade players in franchise in Madden, right? You have to choose, okay, I've upgraded this player, I've upgraded this running back. Do I want to put the points into his power back, receiving back, elusive back? And I got to, it makes a difference, because if I dump them all into the same one every time and ignore the others, well, now I've created sort of a 1 or 2-dimensional guy. So I think that would be cool. I think that would be a lot of fun. Some of the mode improvements I would like to see. This is one I've advocated for from the very beginning. I'd love to see 9-inning mini seasons. I got into a conversation with people on Twitter. I do not want them to remove 3-inning mini seasons. Let me be very clear about that. I think mini seasons was a cool addition. If anything, it got a bit stale, but it was my primary method of play in 22. But I would love mini seasons to have a 9-inning version. I want to play full 9-inning games with my squad to help grind, and I don't want to do it in just play versus CPU. I want to do it so that I can accumulate wins. Obviously, you're going to have to prorate the rewards differently, or maybe have a 14-game season instead of a 28-game season or whatever. But 9-inning mini seasons to me would be at the very top of my list. Number 1, with a bullet, not close. That's the one I would love to see. 9-inning mini seasons, I think. Again, for me, I still sort of, when I really want to play a full game with my full roster, I gravitate towards place versus CPU, which gives me nothing. Other than, the additional XP. I want to play a full game offline. And again, I think the mini seasons edition was cool. I like that there was rewards, there was challenges, it was fun. It would expose you to different cards playing on the CPU teams. Just give me a 9-inning version of that. Give me a 9-inning version of exactly what it was. I would say maybe refresh the rewards a little more consistently, like every month. But that's being nitpicky. Give me the 9-inning version first. The other mode-like improvement I would like to see is to events. And I really think they need to go back to the drawing board with what events are and really start looking at it as more of a house rules experience, much like Madden does with house rules. Let's get crazy. I think events have become, events at this point are basically regular games where the only thing that change are the roster requirements, the innings, and the difficulty. That's it. AL hitters, NL pitchers, 3-inning games on Legend. And then they might say, there might be an overall requirement for the hitters and pitchers. Moonshot, which they ran 714 times, I believe, as I check my notes. Yeah, 714 times they ran Moonshot last year. Let's get crazy. Let's make events, wild. Make home runs worth 2 runs. Plus a run for every man on base. If you strike out the side, it's plus a run for your team or minus a run for the other team. If you ground into a double play, it's minus a run. Let's get crazy and really make events more of a... Again, the gameplay will be similar, but let's make the rules an arcade environment. Again, I think events would be a lot more appealing for the... Again, there's people who are always going to grind events because, again, the rewards. Again, it's something you can play towards instead of pay towards, which is fine. For me, I don't play the events. I wait until the next event and the rewind pack comes out and all the cards plummet to 8K. But if you gave me an environment where things were crazy, again, home runs are worth 2. Strike out the side is minus a run for the other team. Ground into a double play is minus a run. Start every inning with the bases loaded. Again, you could get nuts. And I think that would be a lot of fun and really draw a lot of people into playing it. Because when you get into those house rules style of mode, anything can happen. I think you're not saying we need to close the skill gap, because I think the skill gap is more for your ranked seasons sort of environment. Have fun with events. Go crazy. Turn it into a weird baseball playground. I think people would absolutely eat that up and love it if they did it. 2 other things I want to talk about real quick for Diamond Dynasty. One of them is more of a UI issue. For the love of God, when I go to the program screen, give me the right bumper button to go to where my current level is, please. Especially when the program has 60, 80 levels. When I go in there, give me RB or R1 for PlayStation goes to my current level. For the love of God, please. Please. I also think from a UI UX standpoint, they need to rethink the lineup screen. I just don't think it's very intuitive. It's the same lineup screen they've had for a few years. I just think it needs some retooling. I'd almost like to see my lineup spread across the bottom. And then, if I highlight second base, give me a little, much like you see in Madden or NBA, if I highlight second base, give me a little feed window in the upper right corner that shows some of the best cards I have. Don't make me click on it to go see what I have and then come back when I realize I don't have anything better. I'd like to see a new kind of lineup window, something with a little more intuitiveness to it, a little more information on there. Last but not least, and this is the one, and I maybe should have got this one out of the way at the beginning, but I buried it and saved it for the end. They got to do something about hitting. Now, you'll hear a lot of the people who talk about hitting are your more experienced people, your creators, your people who are competitive. I'm a casual-ish player telling you that hitting needs to be fixed. I think it is ridiculous. Again, I completely agree with the sentiment when Ramon comes on the stream and says hitting was working as intended. I believe it. The problem is your intentions are wrong. Being able to foul off balls at my eyes consistently, in the dirt consistently, fouling off 30, 40 pitches a game that have no business being foul balls. I don't disagree with, some of the perfects being outs and stuff, because that's baseball. But a simple fix would just be to decrease the size of the PCI by 30 to 40% and make people earn it. As a casual player, again, I'm probably in the minority when I say I'd rather it be representative a little bit better of actual baseball than what we currently have. Pitching is useless in this game because, again, you can foul off everything. Every game turns into a who can foul off more pitches till you get a meatball. I'd like to see the strike zone be actually called what the strike zone is in the rule books, where as long as it touches the rectangle of the strike zone, it's a strike. That's the goddamn rules of baseball. It doesn't have to be in the square completely. If you touch the plate, it's a strike. So I think just those two small changes. Decrease the default size of the PCI. Call the strike zone as it actually is in baseball. I think you make the game better for everybody. You add a little bit of skill required to be able to hit better, which, again, I'm fine with. As a casual, I want to grind and get better at the game. Like, don't spoon feed me being able to foul off 35 pitches a game. I don't want that. It's not fun. I know, and again, I believe it when they say it's working as intended, but you intended incorrectly. The intentions were wrong. You tried to make hitting be a one-size-fits-all, everybody can get good at it approach, and it's not fun. It adds so much frustration to the game because you can't get anybody out. It's really difficult. So I think, again, just two small tweaks. Expand the strike zone to be the actual rulebook strike zone. Not necessarily up and down, but on the left and right-hand sides especially. And make the PCI 30% smaller, 40% smaller. 40s might be pushing it. 25 to 30% smaller, I think it'd be great. I think, and again, here's where I get a little concerned, is I completely understand you want to, if you had to go start it out being too hard and then move it to the middle, or too easy and move it to the middle, you want to go the easy road. Because, again, if you make it too hard, you are going to lose casual players. But you made it too easy and frustrating and then doubled down every single stream by saying it was working as intended. Like, it's not. That's, again, it's working as you intended. That's not baseball. It's not. I think you have to increase the degree of difficulty in the learning curve a slight amount to make it work. That's just me. It is what it is. Again, I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me, and that's fine. Feel free to go record your own podcast and talk about it. That's just where I think. Anyway, so those are a lot of my thoughts as we head into MLB The Show 23. I'm excited. For me, I really refound my love of the show last year. I've still been playing it as recently as a week ago. I've kind of shut it down now because there's not a whole lot left to do, and I've been playing some other stuff. But I'm really excited for 23. What are you excited for the most in 23, and who would you love to see on the new legend list? Jump down in the comments if you're watching on YouTube and let me know. If you're listening to the audio version of the podcast, you can reach out to me on Twitter, twitter.com/SnaggleJ, and let me know. Again, I greatly appreciate all of you for listening to this episode of Play Games Have Fun. If you're listening at anchor.fm/PlayGamesHaveFun, your podcast app of choice on Android or iOS, or youtube.com/SnaggleJ. Snaggle loves you. And until next time, peace.